And just a little bit about us. Like I said, we're a Campus Garden Collective. We manage a few spots on campus. The idea about kind of building up the campus is a sustainability mission. And we've been working closely with the Office of the President's Sustainability Initiative, and Catherine Cushing is our advisor. So just if you guys want to get involved with us, there's some information on the back table. There's also information about the Green Wave and just what's going on campus in terms of sustainability. There's some stuff back there from the Environmental Resource Center as well. So just a few acknowledgments and thank yous. Thank you so much, Catherine, for supporting us and for making this event possible. Thank you to the Sustainability Initiative, the whole team, Lauren, to Anna, who are both here today. A huge thanks to Pat Ferraro, who I'm going to introduce in a second. And just to recognize a couple other folks, Yanin Choi, a lot of the organizing today, Kathy Bui created the flyers, and just a little bit about Patrick here. He's a current professor in environmental studies. He's a course in water policy and also a course in water resources management. He earned his master's here at San Jose State, actually the same year that the Student Union was dedicated, so it's appropriate that we're using the Student Union. He's an environmental engineer. He spent 33 years working in water politics, and he served 23 years on Santa Clara Valley Water District Board of Directors. Also served as the executive director of Silicon Valley Pollution Prevention Center, and has done a ton of work at the residential level in his own home, diverting water from Coyote Creek. So just want to welcome Pat and thank you so much for presenting for us today.
Well, welcome again, everyone. Thank you, professors, for bringing your classes, and hopefully we will all learn a little something today about how to reduce our water footprint. As my title page says here, we want to do that. We're going to talk mostly today about harvesting gray water and harvesting rooftop runoff. And that is for uses, strictly for non-potable uses, gardening and other outside uses. So I want to just give you just a quick note or two about our water supply. The engineering profession and with all the stakeholders involved now, the Water District, as our water wholesaler for this county, dedicates themselves to securing a reliable, adequate, and safe water supply for this valley, and which is constantly a growing population. Being the economic engine that it is, it attracts people from all over the world. The grade school where my kids went had 40 native languages spoken in that grade school, just to give you an idea of the influx of people from around the planet. So this valley is constantly growing. If our economy boots back up the way it should, with all this green jobs that we're creating as we do a lot of environmental work, it should continue to grow. But on the flip side of that is our water supply seems to be shrinking. We made policy decisions over the last 40 years to start importing more water from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. And those of you who are paying attention to that in the news or in classrooms, you know that the Delta is in serious trouble of environmental collapse because of the diversions, the maintenance of fresh water for the farmers in the Delta, and the pollution that comes back in from the Sacramento and the San Joaquin irrigation. There's a lot of pesticides, and so the toxic elements that presents is bringing down the ecosystem. So consequently, court orders around the Endangered Species Act have started to reduce that flow of water, and we depended for half of our water supply from that. So that's starting to go away. Last year we got less than half of what we normally get. And then our local reservoirs are built on top of earthquake faults. Those nice big valleys that we fill up with water are created usually by faults. And so we stick dams in the middle of them, and as the geotechnical engineering progresses, we find out that our dams built in the 50s and the 30s, between the 30s and the 50s, are not up to earthquake standards. So they've been curtailed in how full they can be. So we don't have as much local storage here of our local runoff. And then lastly, back in the 1930s, the city of San Francisco got the blessings of Congress to dam up part of Yosemite National Park in Hetch Hetchy Valley, and they pipe water directly through the delta, past the delta. They'll mix it in with the delta and bring that snow melt right into the Bay Area. And so there's about 75 million gallons of water a day that comes out of that project. That's also because of its age. It's about 80 years old now. It's all subject to failure. The city of San Francisco authorized a $4 billion bond issue to try to build that up again. In the meantime, it's all very vulnerable. So the message here is that we had a huge portfolio, a good, varied portfolio of water, but also seems to be under attack. So what are we going to do about that? Well, the good news is that we're finally starting to pay attention to recycled water as a resource. And Catherine does a lot of work on recycled water, and I've pretty much spent my entire career, from my first job after graduating here until today. I consider myself a used water salesman.
And Pat, maybe some people in the audience might not know what recycled water is.
I will explain. Recycled water is usually water that comes from the wastewater treatment plant. We put water in the sewers, and then we have to treat it just to throw it away. In the early 70s, I worked on a study that said we had to practically bring that water up to drinking water standards just to throw it into the bay. And I realized at that point that this water, with all the energy and expense that we had put into it, was too good to throw away. And so I tried to sell that to the Santa Clara Valley Water District, and they said, no thanks, we don't drink sewage, we're going to go get more water, use it once, throw it away, that's the city's job, and we just do this and they do that. And so there was no closed loop thinking. There was not a designing by nature where everything is in a cycle. So anyway, we've done a little tiny bit. We've had little pilot projects here and there, but they didn't amount to much. So the 400 million gallons, or 400 million gallons of water a day we use in this valley from all those supplies that I mentioned before, less than 5% of it is recycled. And so with all these other supplies being threatened, there is more and more attention to do this. So the city just, in partnership with the City of San Jose, in partnership with the Santa Clara Valley Water District, just led a contract for $56 million worth of high-level filtration to be added to the treatment chain at the wastewater treatment plant. And that water will be clean enough to drink. And we can, not directly, but we can put it back in the groundwater basin, following the health department's regulations for residents and residents' time in the groundwater and separation from the wells. And then that water can ultimately be drunk as part of our drinking water supply. That's the good news. The bad news is it still might not be enough to go around. So I used to tell this joke 40 years ago when I first ran for the board. By the way, I was 24 years old when I ran for the board, so it's never too early to become a political activist and get involved in water politics. And Lauren's my shining example of how students can do that now or very soon thereafter. You don't have to wait till you've got gray hair to get involved in politics. Although there's a lot of gray-haired folks in it, don't wait. Do it now. You don't have time to wait anyway. The future is yours, and you've got to grab it as fast as you can. So what can you do? Well, I think first off, as far as augmenting the supply, you can start lobbying the cities, wherever you live in this county or wherever you live outside these counties, to do more water recycling and have them dedicate the resources necessary to do that. And then secondly, what you can do personally is reduce the amount of water you use at home. And you always lead by example. So what you do at home becomes an example for your neighbors, for your family, your neighborhood, and you can start achieving a lot of good in terms of stretching our existing supplies, whatever they may be, by doing things at home. And here's a whole laundry list of things you can do. That's a pun if I ever made one. What we're going to be talking about today. So you could first of all fix your leaks. If you got a leaky faucet, crawl under the sink, fix it, change the washers if there's still washers in it. You can install low-flow toilets and low-flow shower heads. That's real simple to do. The water district and the cities and the water retailers have made rebates available for all of these things for the low-flow toilets. They'll come in and put a low-flow toilet in for you for a very small amount of money, or give you a rebate. If you don't want to do that, what we did, 40 years ago was put bricks or bottles or things in the toilet tank so the tank doesn't have as much water in it and flush. So that first YouTube link there, it just shows you, in case you can't figure out how to fill a bottle and stick it in the tank. That's what that link does there. So if you got the funds you can, or your parents can afford it, you can go buy a front-loading washing machine, which uses a lot less water per load. You can tear out turf. Turf is a crazy thing that we have in this climate. Some cities, like Las Vegas, actually pay people $2 a square foot to remove turf, just to get that demand off their system. So you can do that, and then you can replace them with native plants, or, in the spirit of grow, plant vegetables. You can at least eat those. You might not use less water, but chances are, if you use drip irrigation, you will use less water than you would with sprinklers. And you put the water right out in the root of the plant, and then you eat the produce from that plant. It's locally produced food, the lowest carbon footprint you can possibly have. And by going a little farther and reusing gray water or harvesting rainwater from your house, you can lower your footprint even more. You don't have to tap water supplies that take 4,700 kilowatt hours to pump an acre foot of water. An acre foot's about 1/3 of a million gallons. That's the term that the water buffaloes like to use for large volumes of water. Let's finally get to the topic here. What is gray water? And it's basically the water that isn't in your toilet or your kitchen sink, that you use in your washing machines, in your sinks, in your showers and tubs. And there's a great group called, they were called the Gray Water Gorillas. Now they're called Gray Water Action, since they've had a little bit of progress made with the state plumbing code, as we'll talk. They were actually able to shun this guerrilla mentality because they were totally illegal. And if you look at this YouTube video, Laura Allen, who started this group, kind of stars in this, and kind of a demonstration of putting together a gray water system in someone's yard. And they're doing it in the rain, and it's really cool because you kind of wonder, well, why, if it's raining, do we need to do this? But all these things I've said about trying to reduce our footprint and get off of our water systems to the degree that we use them is certainly something to aim for in your lifestyle. And the Pacific Institute, led by Dr. Peter Gluck, is just in the last couple of days released an excellent report on gray water. And they look at this globally. They've looked at case studies all over the world and see the various attitudes. And the attitudes shift, of course, according to how bad you need more water. Australia has been in a drought for 10 years. Those people have reduced their per capita water consumption to less than half of what we do here locally. We still use about 150 gallons per person per day in this valley. That's an enormous amount of water. Think of that's not even a 50-gallon barrel, but 3 barrels of water per person per day. We don't need that much water, but that's what we use. So hopefully all